Hey y'all, it's Nikki, and you're listening to the How to Be Magical podcast, where we discuss all things black, magical, and fun. Last week, I sat with Brooklyn MC and magical being Savage the Poet as we discussed his new project, Keep Your Head in the Clouds. Listen to the EP on Spotify and watch the video for Plain on YouTube. It's so dope and oh so dreamy. Here's part 2 and conclusion of our conversation on mysticism and music.
It's magical. I feel so blessed to even be talking to you about it, to be honest. I feel so comfortable to talk about it.
I'm glad you feel comfortable talking about it because there's a lot of people that's listening that have never experienced the Misa, and even as we talking about it, they're probably trying to figure out, what do they mean? But it's to bring it to what I was talking about in terms of, representation and, film and things like that. Film and TV and videos and all that stuff is such a powerful vehicle that it's a double-edged sword. If you're showing people things, you should give them a little something, a little aftercare, right? If it's something that's really heavy-hitting, which I'm not trying to rag on Beyonce, obviously, but I do feel like she opened up a door of conversation, kind of just left the conversation.
Yeah,
right?
No, that's real.
She was that's what it is.
Yeah.
And argue amongst yourselves, which is her prerogative. She's grown. She do what the hell she want. Yeah. But I do think that it is important for people to understand the imagery that they take in part. And like you said, sometimes we do things we don't know why we're doing it, and even going to your Misa for you and getting literally your blueprint of how they want things done for now, right? Because it's always going to be changing, right? Yeah. Next couple of months, and then when you go to another one, they don't have something else to say, and it's just a compounding. I think that is sometimes people need to see certain things though in order to understand it's possible for them too, and it's not a far-flung thing, right? It's not some unattainable thing, or it's not that's just on TV, that's not real. It's no, there's a lot of things that that people do that you wouldn't. They not dressed the way you think. Yeah. They don't look like, they don't have that. You don't know who you're looking at sometimes. You don't know who you engage with sometimes. And I have I have so many creative, visual creative ideas on things that I want to bring to the forefront to talk about spirituality, because that was a lot of my first engagement with certain things was watching certain shows, was watching certain movies, right? And again, understanding hey, I don't really see nobody in this that looks like me, but I understand the principles that's being discussed here, and I agree, but how would this look if it was people that look like me? Or how would it look if it was people from my hood? Or what if it was me? What does it look like? How do I walk in here? I'm pretty sure if we had those 3D glasses, right, where you put them on and you can finally see, if you put on some 3D glasses, probably 25 people behind me right now,
right,
chilling
there, drinking tea,
somebody smoking a cigar, somebody sharpening their knife, somebody over there sitting with the dog, they chilling, right? And it's if we were to you ever seen that movie Paranorman?
No.
Oh my gosh, you gotta see
this. But I
feel
like you can give me a lot of good movies to watch.
Oh my
I feel like you one of those movie heads.
Yo, okay.
I got 10 movies for you.
Paranorman, for the people that's listening at home, is a really cute. It's one of those Pixar, DreamWorks kind of movies, an anime. Paranorman. It came out a couple years ago, and it's about this little boy who can see spirits, and he's the only one in his immediate family who can, and his mother and father think he's crazy. His grandmother is still in the house chilling. She died, and she's still in the house chilling, and he's just yeah, grandma said this and the third. You need to stop. Grandma's been gone, and you need to get over this shit. And he's just but she's right here. Grandma's tell him to turn up the thermostat. I'm cold. And it's the movie's really cute because he's literally the only person in his school who's seeing dead people. He's not happy with it. Everybody's looking at him yo, you mad weird. And he's just this is who I am. I can't do nothing about it. I don't want to talk to them. They talking to me.
Yeah.
And then he has to go on his little journey and figure out.
That's really cute.
It's mad cute. You gotta watch it.
Tonight.
I think it's on Netflix. It's adorable. It's mad cute. But it's stuff like that, or even Coco. You seen Coco?
I've seen Coco.
Right? So
oh my God, I love that movie.
So I'm I feel that stuff is mad important, especially for little people, right? For young minds to because I feel kids are very close to the source. They're so close to it that
Absolutely.
when you try to tell them something is not, and they looking at you
But I saw it.
Yeah. Though, but I saw it though. So you telling me that you don't be seeing stuff?
Yeah.
All right, whatever, But and then we kind of like push them away from things, and then as they get older now, people start having their experiences. Like, you know what? When I was little, I did used to like to do this, that, and the third, or I did like to, play in the dirt, or like things that we think about as just mundane things. Actually, it could be our spirits influencing us. It could be us interacting with them, and it could be the the way that we're connecting with them that we're not even thinking about. And then,
absolutely. My sister, for example, like growing up, like I've always loved 90s music. I've always loved like 90s music video. Like just the 90s has been my I just love it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just something about that era that I really love. And then my communication of like poetry. Like I always am like, I probably got an old man who loves to write that's like next to me just like busting it. But like my sister, for example, she's always been fond of like old music. Like from the 1920s to the 1930s, like old shit to 1940s and 50s and like doo-wop groups, and like she'll be in a shower, and this is from like a kid. I'm telling my sister right now is about to turn 17, but from the earliest memory I have of her being like 12 or like even 10, just like taking a shower and singing these old songs, with her full chest,
her full everything,
like singing, and me and my mom sitting like outside the shower, like, do you hear what is going on? Like, you know what I mean? And clearly she has a spirit around her who loves to sing. And even if she never pursues that, there's something around her that just has such an appreciation for that style of music. It's like second nature to her. You know what I mean? And same with films. Like she loves old school films. Like she could watch shit that came out in the 70s and be watching it with like the fullest excitement and on her heart. Meanwhile, me, I'm like, I just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like stuck in a different generation of shit, But yeah, definitely people have different influences. And I do agree with you too. Like, kids are those open portals to like, they're like the closest thing to the source for sure. And I think even more movies like Coco or the one you said, Paranorman, are dope because they open up the topic of spiritualism to kids early on, where they could actually open up to their parents and like start making altars and shrines at a younger age just because they saw it in Coco. You know what I mean? Just because they saw, like, do you have any older pictures of like ancestors or anything? And they could start doing that instead of, getting older and then, it's nothing wrong with doing it later either, of course. Like, I did it a little later in life too. But like, just saying, like, there's something really powerful about targeting that generation of kids too and being like, look, like, y'all have access to open those portals from young. So imagine by the time you in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, you are untouchable. Your connection with your spirits are like tight.
And I think that a lot of people's spiritual journey is literally just getting back to that place.
Right.
Right?
It's
like
really just getting back.
You're just trying to get back to that place where you was just like free and fluid and like everything was coming to you. You didn't have to work so hard for it, And I think it's just like, it's just mad important that we, like you have to see certain things, So like I work in TV and film. I'm saying this with the air quotes because they done took my job away from me, right? Like, work though. like. But
you see, I said earlier, like, we should make a horror film. That could be spirit saying, like, you could have your own production company.
Like, it's literally coming down to that. It's literally coming down to that because it's like, I've been working in film for like the past 5 to 7 years, and
Another one, please.
Another cold brew?
Yes, please.
Do you need more milk, or is it okay like that?
Yes, please.
Can I have the milk?
So like I've been working in film for like the past 5 to 7.
Yes, please.
For like the past 5 or 7 years, and it's interesting because like when I'm on set or like when I'm in the shop or whatever, I'm like the only person that looks like me, right? I'm the only one that looks like me. It could be like 100 people on set. There is like 2 black women. There might be 10 brown people all together, right? And we're like sprinkled about, we're like sprinkled about or whatever. And we see each other, we like, oh snap, there's another one here. Or they avoid you. That's a whole different topic. But it's like when you see how much money is put behind moving images and how much, access these people have to like influence, culture and generations and things like that, and how little it has to do with people that look like us, is very disheartening because it's like, I I don't want to say that like I gave up on it, but at the same time, I feel like there's a part of me, and I don't even feel like it's just me. I feel like it's with them too. That's like, yo, you can't push your agenda in a space where people is clearly not seeing that agenda. It don't matter how I talk, it doesn't matter how I dress, how I try to like, jazz it up or like fit in or whatever. I have a very distinct perspective that's not represented there, and it's never going to be, nobody's ever going to be like, you know what about that black girl from the art department? Right. What does she think? Nobody is ever saying that. Yeah. So like, even when you were talking about, people not being like music gatekeepers, essentially not seeing it, that's real, like, so I feel like I don't watch it. Well, She's Gotta Have It or whatever. I guess the last season there was like some talk about spiritual baths and Ochun and all of this stuff.
I didn't watch it either.
I didn't watch it.
I heard of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I didn't watch it.
I don't watch that much new stuff. I watch a bunch of old shit. But I met with one of the women who was like a consultant on it.
Okay. Because I think like with like TV like that, there's writer rooms with like a lot of writers, right? Like it's not just like one person.
No, it's not just one person. Yeah. It's like literally like a big like conference table, and it's mad people, right. And again, writers rooms are overwhelmingly white male, like white straight male. Like that's the bulk of the writers room. Maybe like 80%.
And even exactly when they bring people of color in there, like you as a person of color, you feel all this like, okay, how do I tell the story, but how do I do it in a way that's not gonna get me kicked out of this room?
Or that's gonna make people feel comfortable, because if I say something, then there's gonna be two, and it's
and also like, not trading too much of our goods, because this isn't fully owned by us. So why would I give y'all the full extent of what it actually is? You know what I mean?
It's like it's a lot. But I feel like it is important to like invest in your own image. It's important to invest in your own mediums. So like even this podcast, it's like I recorded on my phone, right? Something that we all have in our pocket. A basic tool, we are all able to create something so beautiful from something that's so simple. Right. This is like taking out so many steps. Before you had to go get a career in radio, journalism, and broadcasting, and then you had to go intern at the radio station, and then you had to work your way up, and maybe you was a producer.
And for nothing, because that just like limits the amount of people who can do it, right? Because really, like, we all have the ability, to be that and to do that. We all have the power to do that. It's like they just put different obstacles in the race to be like, well, guess you couldn't jump across that hurdle, so you can't do it now. And it's like, no, like you really, like you said, like use what you have to tell the story. Use what you have in your possession right now to make magic happen.
And like an image is so powerful, like, because again, like being able to even just put your work out there in front of millions of people for free, essentially, right? If you don't pay Instagram for ads and shit, if you put something out there and it catches the right people's eye, it gains its own momentum, right? Like even the concept of going viral is like, that's not anything that anybody could predict. Like there's all of these marketing
people out here fiending for
fiending. There's all these corporations that got rooms full of people trying to figure out, okay, what is on fleek? Like sir, that is 5 years old, and why y'all still talking about that? But like that, you can't recreate that, like that ingenuity. You can't recreate that like spark that like makes people pay attention to something, or makes something catchy, or makes a song good, or makes a picture beautiful. Like there's like all of these ways that like corporations try to commodify things that come naturally to people, and it sucks because it makes a lot of people feel like, well, if I don't have some corporation behind me, then I'm not worth listening to, or I'm not worth watching, or it's not good because nobody knows about it. When it's like, nah, I'm sorry. I can't get with it.
And as a community, it's important that we just come together, because like we don't even need the corporation. I don't even need a label if everybody in Brooklyn's listening to me. You know what I mean? Like you don't even need it if everybody could come together and support each other in what they're doing. You know what I mean? And there's so much room at the table that like for me personally, it's never nothing to bring somebody out to like show them light or to like make them eat. Like I hate people that are like intimidated by other people, and so they feel like, oh, I'm in the room, I can only be in this room, and I just made it to this room, so I guess, I'm the gatekeeper, and thank you, God, I'm here. It's like, no, shouldn't your perspective be like, hold up, like, I'm not the only one, actually. There's tons of people who could probably speak better on this topic than I can. So if I can't speak on it, let me bring back to the Beyonce situation, right? If she felt like she couldn't speak on that idea of like Oshun or expand on it, like, how do we then foster like conversation where somebody else is speaking about it, you know what I mean, and somebody else is detailing the experience of what that experience may be like in depth, you know what I mean, where it's like you took the responsibility off your hands, you don't have to do it, you know what I mean, but you just made somebody else be able to talk about it, you know what I mean, or like have a podcast where they can like really talk about African and the diaspora like spirituality, you know what I mean, in a way that is just once again, for lack of better words, normal, you know what I mean, and just regular. Like, it's not even no like hoopla to it. Like, it's just straight up regular stuff that we do, you know what I mean?
It is. Yeah. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people just discount the type of magic that's in their life, like on a day-to-day basis, you know, like even being able to dream, you know, like to me that was my first experience of like that feeling like of waking up and being like, no, I was in that place, you know, like I was there. I don't even know what that was, but I was there, you know, like I experienced it, and there was a person there, we was doing stuff, and like I physically feel tired, like I just woke up, but I feel like I was someplace else, you know, and like that. Before I even knew what astral projection and all of those things was, right? Astral travel. Like, before I even knew any words for that, it's like, okay, I'm experiencing this thing, you know? And even being able to, like, if I was, when I was young, if I was able to watch something or hear somebody talk about an experience like that without any flowery language or just being like, yeah, you know, when you dream, sometimes you do go to different places, I wouldn't have doubted myself for a long time, right? I would have been like, you know what? All right. I feel that. Like, I definitely have experienced that. Maybe not in the same way, but I've experienced something like that. And I feel like, again, like, you know, the music industry, to me, is all, like, it's all illusions, smoke mirrors and shit.
Yeah,
you know? Like, it's all of that. Because it's like, it got people feeling like, if I don't look like this, if I don't sound like this, then I don't make good music. And it's like, is it that you don't make good music, or is it that somebody just hasn't seen that it's profitable, so they don't really, you know, they're not pushing it like that, or somebody really truly doesn't understand what to do with that, you know, like companies don't develop artists like that anymore.
They sure don't.
They do not. Like, you better come with they want you to come with everything already made,
which is the importance of artists like signing less, you know what I mean? Like, there's, you know, in the topic of talking about like financial freedom earlier too, like the point of becoming financially free essentially is that then money's power in this world. Unfortunately. I wish love was more love is more powerful, but unfortunately sometimes money is super powerful, where it's like that exchange, that energetic frequency of money gets people moving sometimes, you know?
Yep.
And like the people who have a lot of it make things move even quicker sometimes, you know? And as an artist, like, I look at myself all the time. I'm like, what separates me from, like, Hov, Cardi B? Like, these people who are able to produce these visions that I'm like, wow, if I had the money, I wouldn't even need a label. I would just do it myself. And I would have it on every billboard if I wanted to. And I would have, you know what I mean? Because now I have the money to make it happen. But unfortunately, money, and it stops so many people in the hood. Because we're not always so fortunate to have that kind of currency. We have so much love. We have so much community. We're rich in so many different ways. So I would never say we're broke, because we're not broke.
We're not broke.
We're like so rich. Fuck the bullshit, you know? But in terms of the currency of money, we're not always, you know, privy of having that. And that unfortunately like makes a lot of these things in these industries, such as film, like you said, or like music, it makes things move sometimes in a different type of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is unfortunate because it doesn't dictate talent at all. It doesn't dictate talent. It doesn't dictate worth. None of that. It's just one of those things that it's like, okay, like, it's also a way of like, we have to come together to figure out how do we support each other's bag. You know what I mean? How do I make sure if I make a move, like, okay, that is going into Nicki's wallet, and this is going into Savage's wallet, and that's going into Treasure's wallet and Glow Confidence. Like, how do we work ourselves in these industries to make sure that we are eating and it's coming back, and not just leaving our hands into
Yeah,
like
going somewhere else
where it's not going to come back, you know. And oftentimes a lot of artists, they fall for that, you know what I mean? They get signed, and all of a sudden it's like, why y'all not opening shit up in y'all communities? Why y'all not coming back and just like, you know, even if you don't want to be doing the groundwork, just give the money to somebody who's going to do the groundwork, because people want to do it.
There's people that want to do it.
There's people that want to do it. So just give them the financial need of what they need to get it done. And then you can co-sign on it and say you made it happen. Like, what is going on?
I know.
You know, what is going on? Like, but once again, we in the future. We are manifesting something that's going to be the shift of a lot. You know what I mean? Like, we got it.
There's so many things that haven't been created yet that people don't even realize. Like, you know, there's foundations laid, but like there's so much that still hasn't been like brought to the forefront or articulated or expressed or funded. Literally funded. It's like there's people that's just waiting. You know, there's musicians, there's artists, there are writers, there's plenty of people that are just waiting for like somebody to be like, yo, take this and run with it. Like, I see what you're doing. Hold it down. Like, hold it down, and I want to see it move. And I think that, especially like when we talk about music, the music industry is changing so much because of like digital, right? Like the internet just like kind of fucked up everything for these companies, because they can't hoard everything to themselves. Like, the radio is not what it used to be. Like, we just talked about Angie, but like the reason why I loved Angie Martinez so much growing up was because like you was guaranteed to hear a new song during her show. Like, you was like, there was going to be some new music, and when the exclusive interview, there was going to be something that was like, yo, you wasn't going to be able to hear it anywhere else. You better listen live. You may hope that they replay it as little bits and pieces at some point, but you're not going to get it like this, you know. And now, like, to be an artist is, you know, to be everywhere and nowhere, right? Like, literally, like you everywhere and you nowhere. Like, you can literally be wherever you want. You can make a song on your phone, mix it on your laptop, and it could be out in seconds, right? Like, it could be out to the world on all of the platforms. And how, you know, just being able to cut out that middleman, that's a very powerful thing. But if it's only going to be because like people still feel like they have to make songs that it has to hit the most people, it's like I feel like niche things that are like literally speaking to a certain sect of people, that shit is powerful. Like, that's mad powerful. And I think that especially we here in America, you know, at the end of the day, there's not one song that's going to appeal to everybody. I'm sorry. No. Like, it's just not possible. Like, it's not possible. It's just not possible, and that's okay. But you got like they always make us, and I say us in terms of like, I don't like calling myself a minority, because I'm not, like, we're not a minority, but like brown folks, definitely the majority, right? We definitely the majority. But like when it comes to our experiences, like, I feel like sometimes the thing about the industry that always fucked me up about, like, when you watch some stories about like older musicians and like how they had to fight to keep their masters, and how they had to fight with the label to get their royalties and all that stuff. And like what you said before we got on air was like, yo, each generation has to just push it a little further. They get a little, it's not as hard as the people before, right, and it's not going to be as easy as the people that come after, but they got they role to play in it to just push it a little further, you know. So like how like Nas and Mos Def and Lupe and Common and the Roots and all that will be back, you know, they would be considered conscious rappers back in the day. If you take the things that they were saying back in the 90s and put it now, it sounds still very contemporary, right? Like, it sounds like this is what people are on right now. But they was talking about this shit 20 years ago, right? And then the stuff that was happening 20 years ago, like when it was like gangster rap, right? Like the news called it gangster rap, because we didn't call it that. It was just rap. Like, niggas was rapping. It was like gangster rap. This shit is hard. It was like, that was people's life, you know, and that was a reality that like a lot of the country and a lot of other places around the world, people wasn't really understanding anything else about that life aside from what they seen on the news. So like just hearing those songs was like making people understand like, oh shit, that's real. Like, people really are struggling out here. I thought I was good, but I didn't know right here in this country people ain't got food. Roaches in the cereal box. What? Like, what is that? You know, and it's like to be able to take what you do, and like that's obviously being divinely guided. That's obviously like you have like mad spirits with you that's pushing you to like no, write this song, like make this video, like shoot this promo, like all of these things. It's like you may not even fully understand
exactly
like what it is that you're contributing to. And I think that a lot of the times that's something that the industry can't replicate.
Absolutely.
There's not going to be...
Replicate is the most amazing word you just said, because that's what a lot of people are doing. They're trying to... I remember Saul Williams. He's a poet. I don't know if you're familiar.
I love me some Saul Williams.
Right, okay.
So sorry. I almost choked on my water.
He had an interview, right, where he was like, I could tell... And he was addressing rappers. I could tell y'all listening to each other when y'all... I could tell y'all listening to each other because when I hear y'all rap, y'all all sound the same. And for example, he's like, I listen to... I don't remember his references, but like I'll take Biggie for example. If you saw his newest like thing on Netflix come out, where he's talking about like I don't really listen to hip hop actually. I listen to like these singers and I listen to like all the things that my mother was playing in the house. Like these rappers that we idolize sometimes, they wasn't even listening to hip hop. You talk to me right now, I rarely listen to hip hop like that. I listen to like a lot of R&B. I listen to a lot of women. You know what I mean? I listen to a lot of women who sing. You know what I mean? Like it's not even about hearing somebody spit all the time. And I think that's why when I write certain songs or poems, it's like it sounds different from everything you hear on top 40 or just rap, because I'm not listening to rap. If I listen to rap right now and I listen to who was on the top 10, I can't even tell you who's on top 10.
I can't say who's on the top 10.
I can't even tell you who's on top 10.
I don't know.
But if I was listening to that, I guarantee you my shit would sound exactly like everybody else's, because that's the influence. If I told you before, like I feel like my lyrics are channeling from something more divine, what I'm listening to is being cut off by, current top 10. But if I remove myself and I go into solitude for a second and I listen to what my spirit wants me to listen to, and I'm starting to get these different messages and ideas, then I'm actually creating from a more authentic, realer, like, space that's never been created before, because not enough people are doing that, And that's not just music, that's film, that's everything. Everything you do in life. Like, stop looking at the people who already have it and being like, oh, okay, let me just do what they're doing because they have it. I'm like, sure, you can do that and become relevant right now, or you could think in the future, like, okay, I'm actually going to be the person, not even to, like, take it from this person, but I'm going to be the person that transforms what this person did and elevates it to this next tier of what they're doing. Because I also don't like the language of, like, I took it from you, I took the spot. Like, hip-hop could get real, what I mean?
It could get real petty.
It can get real petty. And I'm like, it's not even about that. It's about... once again, each generation just taking the baton and taking it to a new height. You know what I mean? And hip-hop in particular is one of the most powerful... It's such a great genre because, like, you don't have to be born, like, knowing how to sing to do it. Like, it's just some words and rhyme and talking some shit. You know what I mean? And doing it in such a way that people are like, okay, cool. And it don't even got to be gangsta. It could be, but it don't got to be gangsta. It don't got to be... ratchet. It don't gotta be poetic. It could just be like you on music speaking your truth. You know what I mean? But let it be your truth. Don't let it come from, you listening to, like I said, top 10 and re-spitting what they spit, because it's already been done. Instead, take what your mama was listening to growing up and take a little bit of what you heard at school, take a little bit of what you read in a book, and make all of that come together like almost like a stew. You know what I mean? And like, just let it pour out of you, and it's gonna be different. Just trust it, because it's gonna be different.
Yeah, and I think sometimes a lot of people, artists and otherwise, like they feel this like little bit of doubt, especially when.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Like they feel this little bit of doubt because it's like, especially if it's not anything that's being mirrored anywhere else, So like, you familiar with Juno Diaz?
Yes.
Right. So I think he has like this quote where he was just like, "How do you make a monster?" He's like, "You make a monster by removing them, like any reflections of them in society, right?" So like how we like Dracula, right? Like vampires can't see themselves. Like that same concept of like, if you don't see yourself, if you don't see anything of the, like what you're doing out there, then you start to feel like the other. You start to feel strange. Like, okay, so I did this thing, and I think it's beautiful. And a couple people that know me rock with it, and they think it's cool too. But I have never seen this anywhere. Like, I haven't seen it. Not in this incarnation. Is it valid? Well, yeah, it's valid. But I think, like, especially when we're talking about music in particular, things that could last beyond your lifetime, that could last beyond your children's lifetimes. It's like, sometimes you have to just trust in the fact that, like, something told me to make this, I made it. I don't know why I made it. I don't know what's gonna come of it.
Okay.
I don't even know. I really don't even know what I'm
And
looking
I'm not
at.
even concerned with it. I'm gonna just offer it right here. Like offer it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put this right here, and you know what? Whatever comes from it, comes from it. And if nothing does, I'm gonna keep creating. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
You know,
what
and
I mean?
you just keep.
When you're a real artist, at least that's what you do. I think when you're trying to be in the industry to like just make a quick buck, of course that doesn't come naturally to you because you're not an actual artist. You know what I mean? You're just trying to make. It became very formulaic. Like, this plus this equals money. So let me just do this plus this and it'll equal money. But when you're an artist, you're thinking like, you're not even thinking too much. You're just moving and you're doing. And once again, look how it mirrors spirituality. You're doing things and you don't even know why you're doing it yet. Because it's just, you're allowing yourself to be moved by life and by what's happening. And you know what's crazy? Like, even listening to like top music out right now, we done been through a pandemic. We done been through like so much race politics,
talk about
and
it.
culture movements. You ain't hear nobody say nothing and no music, no nothing. It's so fucking crazy to me. I'm like, how is this possible that in hip hop specifically, nobody has used the word quarantine and flipped it and pandemic and mask, and nobody has like. I'm like so confused. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, even in film and stuff, I'm like, how have we not been like using what we're given in this time period to like paint the picture to future generations to come of like what it was like why are we sitting on gold? we not even using it. Like, I'm so confused.
I'm genuinely confused too.
I'm confused. I don't really get it, but I do get it because I'm like, that's also my role, I guess, because I happen to be fortunate to see things from the outer perspective. And when you do, don't question it and say like, oh, why do I see it like this? Instead be like, oh, thank you, God. You gave me a different perspective from the bunch. And I'm going to take the road less traveled and I'm going to walk this way and we're going to see what comes of it. Because something going to come from it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
My spirit says something's going to come from it. So I know something's going to come from it. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is yet, but
I don't know how it's going to come. But you know what?
Something's coming.
Something's coming. And
Something's
it's
coming.
exciting. Yeah. So.
But yeah, I don't, like you said, yo, it is wild to not hear anything that's referenced. Like, I'm just like, so wait, y'all living in an alternate reality?
Yeah,
like, where y'all at? Where y'all been
at?
this whole time?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, that's not where I've been, but okay.
I don't know. I feel like we got mad things to talk about. Like,
I feel like we got masters to talk about.
And y'all not covering it.
Yeah.
We still in turn up, but we can't go nowhere. So I'm trying to understand, where y'all turning up?
Where y'all turning up? Like, what is going on? And you know, that's a whole different, because people are turning up.
They are
turning up. You know, that never stops. But exactly, like, we need more of like just people being current. Like, be of the moment. Don't be of the past and what's been done. Like, just, you could take from the past.
Absolutely.
You should always take from the past. You know what I mean? You should always take from the past, keep your eye in the future, and be of the moment. Like, let the moment just move you to do something fresh and new and exciting. And like,
I don't know. Yeah. I just think that it is odd that we have been through a whole year now of quarantine, and it's just like not reflected. And I feel like I said that like last summer, and I was like, I said it and I was like, and now it's like, now that you brought it up again, I'm like, nah, we still here.
We still okay.
Nobody has said anything about this. I mean, there are some cultural things that came from this though, like the Versus series, right? Like, I feel like that was something that was born out of quarantine. But like, I don't even think people even realize that, you know, like, I don't even think they really put those, like, connected those dots. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's very interesting that even like the shows, you know, that's happening, or like movies or whatever, it's just nothing that's really talking about like how this has really impacted so many people's lives.
Even the Verses, like you said, that would have been so dope if like current artists, it opened the conversation more so between like what was and what is, and how do we read, how do we work together back again? You know what I mean? Like, how do we both get on like, back in the day, like in the 90s at least, like rappers and R&B artists were always on the same. They were working together like partners and like Batman and Robin. Like, we on a track, Method Man and Mary J. We here, we making music where people could sing their heart out and we could be hard on the same record. You know what I mean? But now it's like we just trapping it out and it's like no vocals on the record. I'm like, what's going on? Or like rappers feeling like they could also be the vocalist on a record. I'm like, it's okay if you can't sing, and you need to pull a feminine body on the record to give it a little extra something. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay if you can't do it all, baby. Like, you don't gotta do it all.
Yeah, and you know, even to speak to that, like, I feel like in the 90s, when it came to like ladies in rap, you had so much diversity.
Oh,
you had diversity. Like it wasn't just one type of woman that was able to rap. It was like different kinds of women. Mm-hmm. You know, like Yo-Yo was definitely not MC Light, was definitely not Queen Latifah, was definitely not Lil' Kim, wasn't Missy, wasn't, you know, Foxy. Like, and it was like the fact that it was so much diversity. And now, like, and I love the ladies that are out now. This is no disrespect to any of the ladies that's out. It's not even about that, but it's just like,
it's more so the industry once again.
Exactly.
Like, why are we not shedding the light on the other people? Because they exist. I would never talk like somebody don't exist, because somebody out here doing it.
Yo, like I love Tierra Whack, right? Yeah. And I feel like Tierra Whack to me is like, she's like a new, like a current generation's Missy in terms of like her visuals and like the way that she uses the flows and like the way that she uses videos and like the way that she uses just like crazy imagery and like very like artsy.
And she's a poet. You know what I mean? It's so different when you have like a poet on a record. They do it a little differently. They allow words to bring images to your mind. And it's so cool when the artist goes the extra mile to then create a visual where they actually brought those visuals that you were seeing when you heard it to life, and now you're like, oh my god, like, look, I'm seeing it in real time. Like, it's so refreshing when you see a poet on a record. You know what I mean? Like, we really need more poets out here. Like, also rappers who are claiming their poet nature. You know what I mean? And being like, oh no, I am a poet. Like, I used to call myself Savage a lot without the poet, and then I added the poet to it because I was like, it's actually so important that people know that I'm not a rapper, I'm a poet. You know what I mean? And yes, I'll say I'm a rapper every now and then, but really I'm a poet. And my foundation is always poetry. It's always like, when I pick up the pen, what am I saying? Not just to be like sitting in the club, hey, like having a bottle, hey. It's like, you know, but being able to also like, if that is what I'm saying, when I have an interview about it, I'm gonna be able to talk about what I was saying and what that meant to people and what that meant of the time. You know what I mean? Like, so many artists be writing shit and they can't when they get interviewed, they can't even look at the person in the face when they speak. They out here looking at somebody else, being hella disrespectful, not even like being in the moment. Like, so odd. But I agree. People like Tierra Whack, like Chica. I don't know if
I like Chica. I like her a lot.
Chica, yeah, she's amazing. And then also like just more queer voices in hip hop. Where it's like, this is really important too, that we stop saying like, are you the first gay rapper? You're the first queer voice.
Oh,
it's like, can we chill?
We chill?
And that's why I love saying I'm a poet too, because whenever I hear that comment, I'm like, can we talk about all the queer poets that we've ever had in life? There's been so many. Nika Giovanni, Walt Whitman, like James Baldwin, Langston Hughes. Tons. Probably more than straight. You know what I mean? So let's just put that out there that they've been here. Y'all just continue to not like want to talk about it. I mean, that's cool. We don't got to talk about it, but don't bring it up asking me how it feels to be like the first, because it ain't the first. That's almost rude as fuck.
But then that's also like speaks to hyper masculinity in hip hop, right? And like even how we just said, like, yo, there used to be more diversity in voices, and like when it was like to be a woman in hip hop back in the day was very controversial for so many reasons, because like I'm pretty sure they was going through shit with like they wasn't getting the same studio time, they wasn't getting the same, you know, sponsorships and endorsements and like, and you know, engagements and things like that. So now I'm not gonna say it's disheartening, but I'm gonna say like it's upsetting a little when it's like, wow, so if you don't look a certain way, if you're not positioning yourself.
I sent the order twice, so there's a latte and an americano. Do you want it for free?
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so it's like it's upsetting to be like, okay, so if you're not presenting hyper feminine, right, like super over the top hyper feminine, then we not gonna look at you. We ain't gonna play your music. We ain't gonna play your videos. It's just it's weird, right? It's very strange to me because I'm like, there's a lot of people, men, women, whoever, that don't identify with it, appreciate it, look at it like, yo, she look good, but it'd be like, yeah, that's not me. You know, like
the comment of like, she's good for like a female rapper, or like she's good for this. I'm like,
it's like,
what? I also never get it because like I come from a woman, and there's nothing stronger than that. I love my father to death. Don't get me wrong, I love him to death. But when it comes to the women in my life, it's just like there's nothing compared to that strength and that finesse that they have. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. And this is the Americano.
Oh wow.
It's for free, okay?
Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
You want me to change the straw?
You could close out too, by the way, okay?
You want me to change the straw?
No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Thank you.
Just
you got coffee.
okay, good. You about to be wired. You got me here till 8 o'clock. Like,
coffee.
But yeah, nothing can like compete with a woman, and like I don't understand when men are like how dare you try to put yourself like. I think Queen Latifah says that. She's like, I don't care what no brother ever says. Like, when a woman's on a mic, nobody's touching her. And it's absolutely true. I've always, like, looked up to, of course, men in hip-hop. But when I always heard a woman, like, take the mic or, like, I sit my ass down and I listen. I'm like, who's that? Like, she immediately takes the attention completely from them. And it don't matter how hard they trying. She could say an 8-bar or 4-bar, and I'm literally like, she done wiped y'all out. Like, she done did that. You know what I mean? And part of that, too, is just me carrying, like, this feminine lineage on my back of also being like, I've seen power in women like I haven't seen in men. And I think a lot of men are out here just like pretending. You know
posturing.
I mean? Or posturing, like I like just doing the most. I'm like, bruh, like why does it pain you to be like, she's fire, she's dope, she's top 5? You know what I mean? It'd be paining brothers to say that.
It really is upsetting them. But
But
I also feel like the hypnotism of hip hop, you know, it's so strong. Like when you hear that song, when you feel, you know, when somebody spits that verse and you're like, oh my god, that shit is hitting. Like it kind of like stun you for a little bit. You be like, oh my gosh. I think people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You know, I don't know why, but like I don't know how we got to this like super hyper masculine place where it's like only a man can produce that effect. Come on, y'all sound crazy. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like it doesn't make sense to me.
And also some of the most iconic men in music embrace their femininity. Like if we look at Prince, if we look at MJ, if we look at like, it's just the list goes on and on of just like any powerful artist has embraced both. Actually, you need both. You need to be masculine and you need to be feminine. Period. Like both have such amazing qualities. Like why would you neglect one for the other, or why would you feel like you have to be more one than the other? Like you need both. Sometimes you need to be so. That's also why I love my name, right? Because Savage the Poet, it lends the idea of being like, you know, fierce, aggressive here with it, but also like soft and sweet and poetic with it. Like we can all be both.
We all are both.
We all are both.
You know, like and we need that duality. You know, like, and that's crazy because you know, there's a lot of talks, you know, about like what it is to be feminine, what it is to be masculine, and I think that, I don't know, for me personally, I've been thinking about it a lot lately of like, I've never felt like super feminine, right? Like and it's not in like in a bad way, but I just never felt, I always felt like I had a very masculine energy with me, right? So, and I felt bad about it, right? It was one of those things that's just like, feel bad about it, right? Like somebody, like I felt terrible. Like, and then it wasn't anything that I did wrong or right or anything like that, but it was just like, I used to feel terrible. And then it wasn't until I got older that I was like, you know, there's a lot of things that about me that I really, it isn't, if I try to change it, I'm only going to cause myself more distress, right? There's a lot of things about hip hop that I truly, I'm like, this shit is problematic.
Yeah.
This lyric is dangerous. This is kind of hateful, right? But this is what's selling, and this is what's hitting. But like, how impactful would it be if we were able to like have, you know, music that really spoke to our souls, like really truly spoke to our souls with this same frequency, in this same vibration, and not be corny, you know, like not, and you know, because I feel like sometimes people get too like, you get a little too woke. You be like, all right, you're taking it a little too far. I can't absorb all of these things, like, but like I was listening to If I Ruled the World, Nas and Lauryn Hill, right?
Once again, like I said, that generation,
that balance, right?
Those,
of like
both those artists,
and it was mad important. And even Lauryn Hill, as crazy and messy as she might be, right? Nut job. We love Lauryn Hill, but she might be a little out of her mind. But I feel like anybody who has a little creative genius is not all the way straight and sane, so it's fine. But like,
yeah, we probably sound crazy as fuck right now.
Right? So like,
people, they
be like, what the fuck are they talking about? Yeah. But like, even Lauryn Hill, you know, like, being able to sing and rap, right? Being part of a group and on her own, right? And Nas, you know, there was one line, and I was in the car driving, and I literally said, like, kind of bullshit is this? He was just like, you know, no welfare supporters, more conscious of the way we raise our daughters. I was like, what about the way we raise these niggas?
Right, no, but it's true, yeah.
I'm just like, wait a second, people's raising their daughters all right. What about the way we raising some of these men out here, right? And I'm laughing to myself, I'm driving, I'm like, yo, you really getting mad emotional. This song is 20 years old, girl, calm down. But it's like, it is important. Like, hip-hop is such a strong vehicle, but it's been so heavily skewed towards, like, men, just men, masculinity, and now we at this place where it's like, if you're not performing hyper femininity as a woman, nobody wants to hear it. We don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. It's not worth it. And it's like, but there's so much, you know, there's so much in between. There's so many things. There's so many male rappers who are not super, like, doggish, ruggish, thuggish, bonish. Like, there's like, what about the sweet guys? What about the sensitive guys? Yeah. What about the kind of nerdy guys? What about the guys that's a little weird? What about the girls that's a little tomboyish? What about the girls that, you know, sometimes she like to put a wig on, sometimes she like to just be on her sweats? What about her? She's not valid? Like, you know, and it's like, and she don't like hip-hop? Because I'm like, I love hip-hop. You know, like, I truly do love it. But, like, there is a lot of it where it'll be like, damn, like, this is really hurtful, you know, like, and even me singing this, it's kind of like putting out a funny vibe, you know, like, I'm participating in somebody, like, being treated a little kind of fucked up, you know, like
you know, dead ass,
like, damn,
it's a little fucked up.
I don't know if I could really sing this song, right?
People don't think about that,
you know,
but that's why it's important to have both. Like, even me mentioning the Method Man, like, Mary J track, like, him saying, shorty, I'm there for you every time you need me, like, and having Mary sing, like, my sweet morning dew. Like, it's so important that we are having a conversation with each other on these records and being in the same room with each other. So it's like, oh, I'm here with you, so I'm gonna honor my pen so much higher to celebrate you as I expect you to do to me. It's not just like exactly, like, men doing it for women. It's about women also doing it for men, and us being there for each other as a community.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
and that influences the way that people treat each other, and that influences the way that people take certain cues on, like, how to be with each other, you know? So it's like, where's the love in the music? Real talk. Like, where is the love? Like, the love. Like, do people even love each other like that anymore? Because it's like, y'all, the songs don't sound like it. Like, what y'all...
That's the thing, too. I think it takes a really brave person to even, like, admit to being in love, you know what I mean? Or to admit that they feel love. Like, and that goes throughout generations, you know what I mean? Like, just love is so powerful. You have to be very vulnerable to even accept it and to talk about it.
True.
So it actually takes a really strong person to do that. You know, stronger than a person to deny it, because most people out here are denying it. They're denying it, and on a song they're refusing to, you know, even say it and acknowledge it. They'd rather be like, you know, fuck bitches get money. You know what I mean? Or like how some of the ladies talk nowadays about, like, get your bag and fucking, you know what I mean?
And it's like, damn, it's like, okay,
like, how, like, is it okay
how do we
to
get
just
here?
be like, how do we get here?
How do we get here?
But sometimes I feel like we gotta go so far left, so far right, once again, to find that balance of, like, okay, now we back, and we back in this mode of, like, you know, giving each other love on a record. It is okay to say I love you. It is okay to say, you know, you are beautiful, you are dope, you are better than me. It is okay to say that. And then to hear it back, like, nah, you better than me, nah, you better than me, nah, you better. Like, it's okay to have that moment. It don't gotta be so ego-filled of, like, I don't know, I believe, like, you shouldn't even say, like, you're, don't get me wrong, say you're dope, say you're amazing, but don't ride your whole career on being like, I'm dope, I'm fine, I'm super confident. Like, yo, you know, in hip-hop, you just gotta say it. And in this industry, you gotta say it, you gotta live it. I'm like, I don't gotta say it a million times because I am it. And when I lead like that, people around me just know what it gives. Like, I don't gotta continue saying how dope I am for me to be dope. Like, it sounds like you are a little wary of the spell if you gotta say it so many
it's like,
times.
I don't know if you believe it.
You know what I mean? You say it like 3 times, 5 times, however many times you gotta say it. And that's it. Yeah, exactly. And it's gonna work. Trust that it's gonna move. you can't keep, you know, being hell bent on it, you know.
But I also like when we talked about like the different commissions, right? And like how there are as many commissions as there are people in the world, essentially, right? Like for every religion, for every spiritual path, there is a commission of people that adhere to that, and that's their court. I look at hip hop in the same vein, right? Where it's like I always like look back to me the golden age of hip hop, where it's like you had different archetypes, you had different commissions, and that made a nice round. It wasn't the most politically correct. I ain't gonna sit up here and lie and be like, oh my gosh, it was the greatest. No, there's a lot of wild shit being said, but representation was important. So like, it's literally would be like if a person only engaged with their madamas, or they only engage with their gitanas, or they only engage with their congos. It's not balanced. It's like we do need that balance, you know. And I feel like to me, whenever I hear trap music is like war music. Yeah. Like, I can't listen to that shit all the time.
Right. But I'm sure people, that's the thing, it is like war music, but I'm sure people don't realize that when they do. They just think like, oh, let me get lit, let me get lost, and I'm like, no, actually, it should be like, we are strapped up. Like, if you're gonna say the words, listen to, like, people don't even know the words anymore when they rapping it. They don't even rap the words, Nikki. They just sitting there getting lit, so God knows what. You know what I mean? It's like, we just sat here and spoke about older artists, right? Or artists from back in the day, and we can like quote them. Like, I ask my sister sometimes, like, I'm like, did you hear what they just said? She's like, actually, I didn't. Like, thank you for like telling me that is a hard bar, I guess. I'm like,
what did he say?
Yeah, that means
what did
you're
they
just going
say
about your life, not knowing what you're saying or what you're listening to. Like, problem. Like,
yeah, and it's like that's mad. It's so like that to me. That balance is important. Yeah. You know, like we do need more of this balance in our music, in our films, in our TV shows, but especially music, because music is so hypnotic.
Yeah,
it really is. And like I have went up to get the herbs and stuff this morning. So like I'm driving on the way back, and I don't know if I had talked about it on the podcast before, but like in the past year, I realized I'm like a huge DMX fan. Like I didn't realize this, right?
My father was such a DMX fan, hard. Like that's a big part of my childhood. Just
like I did not realize it, because at first I was like, yeah, of course I love DMX. Like I'm from New York, I love DMX. But then like I found like on Spotify, and it's like the best of DMX and some shit comes on, and I'm like, yo, rock it, like 3 hours. I'm like, first of all, wait a second. I didn't even know I knew this many DMX songs. And
yo, he's such a, people downplay the spirituality in that man's like music.
Yo, he like, really be giving me like, again, that like warrior energy, right? And like, not to sound hokey or like, you know, like every fucking body else attributing a deity to it, but I definitely get like Matt Ogun vibes from him.
Oh,
you know,
definitely,
like this, like this. You know, like, oh my, he's a little crazy, you know, but he good, but I'm a little scared, you know, and it's like, and why is he barking at me? Like, yo, what is happening? But it's like, yo, you can't.
It's like letting that primal out of you. Yo, like you're not thinking too much about it. You just releasing
and it's
it
there,
it
and it's there, and it's like that raw energy, you know.
And that's the thing, when DMX was dropping, like he was dropping prayers as interludes. He was praying to God on a tape where people were listening to music, and they was like, y'all gonna make me lose my, like it was giving that, and then it was giving like, dear Heavenly Father, like, let me, you know what I mean? And think about that shift, what that does to the listener of being able to have that experience of like, we in the club, hey, and now we talking to God. How fucking beautiful.
Like, how did how did this happen?
How did we lose that sense of like interludes and conversation and like people talking about real ass things before we even get into
do people even do skits on their albums anymore?
I need to bring it back.
I need to bring it back because skits,
because they missing it. Those are like, how many old school, like you go on iTunes and a skit pop up where you hit shuffle and you know the skit.
Oh my
like,
gosh,
I love this skit. Like, but also that's the poetry of projects back then. Like it would give you images in your head and full on. When you listen to an album or a project, you didn't even skip tracks.
Nope.
Like you straight listen to it all the way through, because it's like watching a movie and then skipping scenes. Who does that? Like that's weird. Like if you're gonna watch it, you're gonna watch it.
You're gonna watch the whole thing.
If you're gonna listen to it, you're gonna listen to it right, you know? But nowadays you listen to a project, you skip right to the song that you heard on the radio, you skip right to the other song.
And that's it. And it's like you don't even get to enjoy the whole thing, you know?
You know what I mean? An artist told me recently, he's like, don't even worry about like dropping projects. Like, don't even drop projects, just drop singles. And part of me is like, damn, I feel you. Like, people's attention spans are so short. But then the storyteller, the poet in me is like, how dare I just drop singles? Like, I have shit to say. You know what I mean? And if you just dropping a single, once again, where are the skits? Where are the skits? Where are the like interludes? Where are the conversations? Where are the other points that you're making with the project? It's not just, you know, the music. It's not just the music. Sometimes it's the, you know, the storyline behind it of how you got to the song, so that when people hear the song, you've already set the scene. You know, like in Shakespeare, when Shakespeare writes plays, right? He's setting the scene in the beginning before the actors even start speaking to each other. He done set the whole scene with the prologue. Like, this is what you're about to get into. This is how it's about to go down. Yep. This is where we are. We are in Verona. Like, he literally paints the whole shit.
And you're like, oh my gosh, we are in Verona.
We are in this. Like, yeah, we here. Like, that's exactly like what we should be doing. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think too, like, even when you had just mentioned about like lyrics not even being coherent, it's like, yo, I'm sorry, no, that shit is real. Like, sometimes you don't think about the things that you rapping along to, that you singing, till years later, when like me, like I said, I'm a person that I remember lyrics 20 years. I know it bar for bar, the whole song, the little ad libs and shit, the little thing, and then I say some stuff and I'm like, damn, I didn't even know what that meant when I was 10, but now I'm grown and I'm like, oh snap, that means this, you know, and you're like, oh, okay, and like you get to really like make your own connections and like feel more connected to the project when you can actually hear what the hell people were saying, and it's not just a rhythm, you know. And rhythm is important, don't get me wrong, like rhythm is essential, like that's we live on that.
It goes back to like the drum, right?
Yes,
like in a ceremony, the rhythm is what gets you there, but then what keeps you there are the cantos. What keeps you there are the prayers that we're saying to keep it going. But the rhythm is important.
The rhythm is important, but you can't have a tambor with just drummers,
right?
Like, people gotta sing.
Okay.
You need an akpon. You need people to sing.
Okay. Once again, it's all like these different factors to get to something divine. You know what I mean? And to get right now, there's a little bit of like imbalance, but I have so much faith. Like, I'm like, should this? Us even talking about it, I'm like, people are gonna reference this interview over and over again, and they're just gonna be like, wow, these motherfuckers was talking about it before the shift.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first on the How to Be Magical podcast. Like,
yes, and on that note, we're going to close it out.
Beautiful.
Or on air, because we still talking. We chopping it up.
We trying.
But
we just had 3 cups of coffee.
I'm wired. So, thank you so much, Savage, my love.
Thank you.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence on the How to Be Magical podcast. Again, my name is Nikki B. I'm the owner of Soul Things Botanica, and you are just tuned in to the How to Be Magical podcast. We had a great chat here. I don't know. I'm probably gonna release this as like a 2-part because I feel like we was rocking for a minute. Oh God, we 2 hours.
God. I knew it too. You know what I was gonna tell you, like, you want to say about the time, but
it's fine. We got 2 episodes. The first episode is going to drop on the same day as Keep Your Head in the Clouds,
April 16th.
April 16th. So when you hear this episode, you will go to all of the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, everywhere, and give it a nice listen to this EP, so that way we can, you know, keep this energy going. Absolutely. That we do need music that speaks to our current situations, but we need music that speaks to our future, and we need things that keep us in a space of like manifestation and creation, and dreaming, because it's mad important to dream. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you so much. And as always, y'all, you know where to find me. SoulThingsBotanica.com. You can find me on Instagram, SoulThingsBK. You can find me on Facebook, Soul Things Botanica. You can find me on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, Google, everywhere podcasts are streamed. And thank you so much for listening. And keep it black, keep it magical, and keep it cute. Peace.